Jordan has been a part of our Celebrate Recovery ministry program here, and he, in a fresh way, has learned and is learning over the past year about God's mercy and about not hiding things and being transparent with God, about coming to God and saying, I need mercy. And when we do that, healing floods in, forgiveness floods in, freedom floods in. Listen to Jordan's story here.
Hello. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, working on self-control, and my name is Jordan Ellsworth, and I would like to give you my testimony today. So, I grew up in a Christian home, Christian mom, Christian dad, Christian values, Christian songs, and when I was about 5 or 6, my parents sat me down and told me about Jesus, who he is, what he's done for me, and I said my little prayer, and I felt good. I did, however, find myself repeating that salvation prayer many times throughout my childhood because I would see something on TV or hear something maybe at church that just in my gut made me feel that I just didn't feel saved for some reason. And then I got to middle school and I started poring over the Bible, just learning as much as I could about it. My dad was very knowledgeable about the Bible, so he taught me a lot. And by the time I got to high school, I knew all the important verses. I even knew context of those verses. I knew subtleties of those verses, and I could debate with the best of them. I even wrote up religious papers, did research. The internet was invented around that time. No. And I felt like I was doing a good thing, but I wasn't fully committed to it. I was living in the gray area, right? I played games that had content that I knew wasn't that good. I had friends who didn't help me with my walk in Christ, and I wasn't sharing God with them, so what was I doing? And the biggest thing is, I lied, little white lies, even not little white lies, just to keep myself out of trouble, to stay in that gray area, like a Pharisee. I was good on the outside, I appeared good, but I did all these shady things kind of in the background. College was almost no different. I went to a bunch of college groups. InterVarsity was the big one that I went to, but I went to multiple of them. I still went to church on campus every once in a while. So I appeared good on the outside, but behind closed doors, looked at pornography, and the biggest one that I had this is when I learned that I had a problem with self-control, because I would eat anything that I wanted whenever I wanted. Food was just my biggest Achilles heel, my biggest pitfall, so to speak. Some college kids say that, alcohol is their kryptonite or whatever, their corrosive substance. For me, it was Mountain Dew. And then in one of these groups, InterVarsity, I met my wife, Hannah, and fast forward right before we got married, a few months before we got married, we were fighting a lot. And one night she suggested that we watch a sermon together. It was by a man named Paul Washer, and he talked about the qualities of being a Christian, how you know if you're a Christian or not. And it cut right to my heart as he's listing off all of these traits, all of these things, and I realized I don't have any of these things. And I grew up thinking I was a Christian my entire life, but hearing what a Christian does and what a Christian says and thinks, I'm not doing any of that. And so I believe it was February 19th, I truly gave my life to Christ. But as I'm sure everyone in this room can attest to, growth isn't instant, and marriage is a tough relationship. So I found myself fighting with my wife more and more and more, and it got to the point that we just kind of shut down a little bit after the first few years of our marriage, and that's when the food got worse, the self-control got worse, because I found comfort in food. I found that I liked that, and because it wasn't the big sin, right? It wasn't a big sin, it wasn't a bad sin, it's eating. Everybody eats every day. So because it wasn't the bad sin, I didn't really think about it, outside of, a couple snide remarks about my weight. But it happens. Since then, my wife and I have grown tremendously. We love each other very much. We're still together. Nothing bad like that happened. But I'm far from perfect. I'm still far from perfect. And I love the taste of food, and that's the problem. So I love the taste of food. I love the feeling of being full. But the difference between me now and me back then is that I know it's a problem. I realize that it's something that I have to give to God daily in order to be healed. I can't do it on my own. And that is what Celebrate Recovery was really for. And so when I first joined the group, I did it more out of politeness than anything. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll see what this group's about. I didn't think I'd like it, didn't think I'd stay. I was just like, yep, I'll go to 1 or 2 and I'll probably be done. But then I went to the third group and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should actually give this a try. Maybe I should actually see what this is about. And every single time I went after that, I realized that being around people who can help keep you accountable, who can pray for you, who will talk with you, who will be vulnerable with you, it's more than you can ever get by yourself, more than anything I could ever have done by myself. A lot of people think that admitting you have a weakness or a flaw is like taboo. We can't talk about that. Oh no, like we just keep our heads down, like no one talks about that. But having a flaw, having a weakness, it's not a sin. It's not an admission of guilt. Everybody has flaws. Everybody has problem areas in their lives. And by admitting that, you allow God to bring people into your life to help you. You can't do it by yourself. I couldn't do it by myself. And I still struggle today, literally today. Like you think I don't overeat still? You still like one more extra slice of pizza, one more scoop of ice cream, one too many bottles of pop or something? Absolutely, I still do today. And I give that to God daily. And being able to understand that is really a strength, not a weakness. Being able to admit that you have a problem is wonderful because it allows God to do such great things in your life. So, kind of going in line with today's message, I'm not that Pharisee who's like, well, it's not drugs, right? Like, thank God it's not drugs, it's just food. Thank God I'm not murdering people every weekend, it's just an extra slice of pizza, right? But no, I'm not like that. I like to believe that I'm like, God, have mercy on me, a sinner, because I might not be doing what we consider bad sins, but I sin, right? I sin every day, I sin every week. We all sin because we're human. And by giving that to God, it's just more than I can do on my own. And by giving it to God, it's being at peace with that and knowing that I'm getting help from an infinite being, which is wonderful. So yeah, if anyone here has a hurt, habit, or hang up, which is kind of our motto, or you're just interested in what Celebrate Recovery is, please see me or John Keeling out at the table. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.